Good morning and welcome to My Legal Advocate. This show is brought to you by the law firm of Marecki and Medolla, and today I'm with founding partner Tim Marecki. How are you, Tim?
I'm doing great, Blanca. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I am wonderful, and I'm really excited about all the public safety messages and all the information that Marecki and Medolla brings to the community every single day. And everybody out there watching, think of Marecki and Medolla. They're a wonderful law firm and truly care about our community. So today's topic is your rights in the unfortunate situation if you experience a personal injury with dog bites. And a lot of people struggle with this type of case, Tim, because often it's somebody in the community or a neighbor, and we're all animal lovers. So this is a tough topic to talk about. But let's start off with the statistics. What are you seeing in terms of the number of dog bites that are happening?
Okay, so there's approximately 4.5 million dog bites a year. So it's more common than you might think. Out of those 4.5 million dog bites, over 25% of them require medical attention, and there are about 10,000 people annually who are seriously injured and have extended hospital stays as a result of a dog bite.
What do these statistics tell you? How do they speak to you?
Well, what they're saying to me is a lot of people are getting bitten by dogs. And in 2019, there was $800 million paid out by homeowners insurance companies to compensate dog bite victims. What that tells me is, a lot of dog bites are happening, and we have quite a few in our office where you're going over to a neighbor's house in your neighbor's yard, and you're bitten by their dog. Your neighbor's liable for that, and their homeowner's carrier will pay. The homeowner's insurance are paying out these claims. The average payout on a dog bite case, just using the gross statistics, is about $50,000.
So there are rights and there are remedies for someone that is injured. And so this is the type of case that your law firm has handled many times. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. We've done several. And when you're injured and it's someone else's fault, Florida law requires you to be compensated. Being bit by a dog that's what we're talking about today. It's just one of many ways to be injured at the fault of someone else.
Let's take a step back. What are some tips on protecting the community on how they can prevent this situation from happening together?
Right. I mean, a lot of it is common sense. You don't want to approach a dog you don't know. You want to be very careful with dogs that you don't know. If a dog seems threatening, avoid eye contact. Don't do anything to provoke it. If you come across a dog that looks sick or injured, a lot of people's natural instinct is going to be to try and help it. My recommendation would be call the authorities who are trained to deal with such a thing. If you try to do it on your own, that's how you might get bit.
And so you recommend seeking medical attention after a dog bite?
Absolutely. Anytime you're injured, you should always seek medical attention for your own good. What we're seeing with our dog bite cases is a lot of them result in infections, and these infections result in extended hospital stays. So if you're bit by a dog, even if it's not terribly painful, even if the wound doesn't look terribly serious, I would strongly recommend seeking medical attention to combat a potential infection.
And besides the medical damages, what other types of damages are available to the victim of a dog bite?
Right. So the damages available to a victim in a dog bite are the damages available to a victim in any other personal injury case. There's several elements of damages that the law in Florida requires the party that's at fault to compensate the victim for. These are your medical expenses incurred, any time that you lost from work, money damages for your pain and suffering, past and present, money damages for your future pain and suffering, money for your future medical care, money for future loss of capacity to enjoy life. All of these things are things that you're required by law to be financially compensated for if you're injured and it's someone else's fault, including being bit by someone's dog.
That is really important. So this means that emotional distress is also part of this list of damages?
Yeah, yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because with a dog bite, as opposed to a car accident or other ways that you can get injured, we have a disproportionate number of victims being affected psychologically. They can develop phobias of dogs. It can impact them mentally more so than a lot of other things. So if you've been bit by a dog and you're having this emotional and mental impact, we strongly recommend you see a mental health professional. One, for your own good, and two, because we need to be able to develop that area in order to compensate you for those damages.
So is the law on dog bites exactly?
So the law on dog bites is strict liability, with a couple of qualifiers. And what strict liability means is, for the attorney to win your case, all he needs to do is prove that that person owned the dog and that that dog bit you and injured you. All we have to do is prove that to win. What takes you out of strict liability in a dog bite case is a beware of dog sign. If you have a beware of dog sign that's prominently displayed on the premises where you were bit by the dog, it takes away the strict liability and it turns it into a regular negligence case. In a regular negligence case, your attorney has to prove more than just that person owned the dog and the dog bit you. Your attorney has to prove that that person owed you a duty of care to protect you from that dog, and that he did something negligently to breach that duty of care, and that as a result of that breach of that duty, you were injured. It's more difficult to prove that than a strict liability case, but it is not at all impossible. As a matter of fact, it's very likely that we prevail on a negligence theory also, in addition to the strict liability theory.
Well, it's clear you have tremendous experience, and there are some intricacies in the law involving dog bites. So it definitely makes sense to, you would agree, to consult with an attorney in this situation to avail yourself of your rights to be protected.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's what we do all day long here at the firm. And I would encourage injured people to assert their rights.
I think so many of us, as we've talked about in prior episodes, have this lack of entitlement to advocate for ourselves. And that's why I love the website of your law firm, mylegaladvocate.com, because everybody, you have to be an advocate for yourself. And the first step is getting the right team on your side to advocate for you. So do you recommend that the authorities be called to collect the dog after such an incident?
Yeah, yes, I do. And I don't know if the result is going to be a collection, but the authorities should definitely be called. And I'm sure a lot of people watching, and a lot of people this might happen to, are going to have certain feelings about calling the authorities on a dog that bit you. From the standpoint of your personal injury attorney, that kind of action and that kind of documentation really helps us to recover financially for your case.
Yeah, documentation is always important, as you've talked about, for the community in any type of case. So this just further documents the incident itself, and it makes sense. Now, conversely, what are the defenses of the dog owner to liability?
There's two major defenses to that, Blanca. One is a trespassing defense. In order to recover for damages, you have to be lawfully on the property. Now, there's some complicated exceptions to that, which is why, if something happens to you, you should always seek an attorney instead of just watching what I see on TV for 5 minutes. You can come see me. I'll talk to you all day long for free about your case. So if you're not lawfully on the property, you're not entitled to recover. So if you're a trespasser, it gets a lot more complicated. The other major defense is comparative negligence. Now, comparative negligence, what Florida law allows a jury to do is assign a percentage of fault for the occurrence to all the parties in the action. So if you're in strict liability, comparative negligence doesn't apply. But if you've got that beware of dog sign, you may be dealing with a comparative negligence defense. And what that means is that you can go into court and the jury can decide that your dog bite was 50% your own fault and 50% the fault of the owner of the dog. In that case, if your total damages are $1 million, you'll be awarded $500,000 by the court, 50%. And those percentages work all different ways. It doesn't have to be 50-50. So, even if you feel like it was partially or mostly your own fault, you are still legally entitled to recover for that injury.
That is, again, so important. Everyone, if you take one law away from this, it is that even if you feel that you somehow contributed to the unfortunate incident, you can still get damages. So why deprive yourself of the ability? Do you find that a lot of your clients struggle with that when they've contributed partially to the incident?
Yeah, some of them do and some of them don't. But when we explain the law to them, as I just did, they get it. And I have people that have come to me on recommendations of friends and family members, not thinking that they had a case because they think that it was mostly their fault. And what I tell them is, okay, it was mostly your fault. You're 80% at fault. The person that's responsible for the other 20% is responsible for 20% of your damages, and we should assert those rights.
I think that is such an important law for people to remember. So when in doubt, you can consult with Tim Marecki, the founding partner of Marecki and Medolla. And from what I understand, every consultation with your firm is complimentary. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We never ask a client for money, Blanca. We only take money if we win for the clients. We will never, ever ask a client for money.
And that is for every single type of personal injury case. So if you have been injured and you want to talk about your case, it will cost you nothing. You can reach out to mylegaladvocate.com or you can call their law firm. I'll put the number on the screen and you can call them anytime and schedule a Zoom appointment. You're doing Zooms, you're doing in-office appointments, and you're always there to help everybody. And you also have another initiative. This is now your second year of this initiative where you're doing a review of car insurance policies and home insurance policies. Tell us about that initiative.
Yeah, that's right, Blanca. So most people in a car insurance policy, especially, most people in the state of Florida, because of what the law requires, are grossly underinsured in their car insurance policy. We get lots of people coming into our office that have been involved in car accidents that we're not able to help because of the situation with their own insurance policy and with the insurance policy of the car that hit them. There are simple ways to protect yourself from the situation, but it involves knowing what kind of coverage your car insurer is providing to you. So our initiative is we're reviewing car insurance policies for free. We'd like you to email them to us, and you get your car insurance policy reviewed by an attorney within 24 hours, and we'll give you advice on what your coverage is and what it should be.
That is incredible, and that is, again, no cost to
you. Absolutely no cost to the client.
And what type of realizations have you seen from reviewing people's policies? Any interesting stories you could share?
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but as I suspected, the vast majority of these policies are not. People say they have full coverage. Full coverage in the state of Florida is illegal in almost any state, any other state in the union. We have very little responsibility that our state requires for car owners to carry as far as their insurance. So what we find is a lot of these people aren't protected at all. And we're giving them advice, and they're getting better insurance to protect themselves.
Well, Tim, I think you're doing so much for the community with this free policy review. And I want to remind everyone that Tim and the firm of Marecki and Medolla are the gold sponsor of the Laws of Life Network. And they have been from day one, sponsoring every webcast and every networking group. And your sponsorship means the world. We so appreciate all you do for our community, Tim.
Well, thank you, Blanca. We appreciate you too.
Well, we wish everyone a safe and happy and healthy weekend, and we'll see you every Friday right here on My Legal Advocate at 10:30. Feel free to send me your questions or comments, and we'll be happy to do a show on a topic you want us to do. Thank you so much, Tim, and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.